Welcome everybody to AFSO 21 Radio. You're listening to the Weekend Wrap-Up.
Welcome everyone to another episode of the Weekend Wrap-Up here on AFSO 21 Radio. I'm your host, Kevin Ferrara, and this episode we've got some special guests from the Berks County Fire Chaplains Network. And last episode you heard me talk about firefighter suicide awareness, and we put some stats out there that were a little bit shocking. And what I did in the meantime between that episode and now, I actually reached out to some organizations, and CJ Ferrara and Kindall Wann, both from the Berks County Fire Chaplains Network, reached out to me and said, hey, we'd love to be on the podcast. So that's who joins us today. So let's go ahead and get started. And let's start with Kindall. If you could please introduce yourself and include, how you became a firefighter.
Well, good morning, everybody. First of all, Kevin, thank you for having me. Again, my name is Kendall Wann. I've been a firefighter in Wilmsdorf Volunteer Fire Department for 15 years. Start with that, I became a firefighter back in 2006 with the help of my brother-in-law. He's our fire chief. Just basically one day, just asked me if I was interested, took me to the firehouse, showed me around, introduced me to the guys, the trucks, just over time, just watching what they do, hearing what they do for the community, helping the community, how intertwined we are with citizens. Hands tried out and have never looked back. It's been 15 years, and just very much enjoy helping the community on the level that we do. And then in September 2015, after being on a number of calls over the years and having hearing from other organizations, other fire companies in other counties that also had the same incident, like with fires or someone suicide or cardiac arrest, firefighters don't have anyone to talk to. And one thing that we really are blessed to have in our fire company is we have a chaplain already. His name is Chuck Zeckman. So they put me on board as the assistant chaplain there in September 2015. And from there, it springboarded from there just to help anyone that is needed in our firehouse or others. And then in July of 2019, after talking to multiple fire companies, both in Berks and Lebanon, and talking with the leader of the Lebanon County Chaplains Network, Matt Zeckman, we decided we were going to put together the Berks County Fire Chaplains Network here, and that composes of myself and 12 other chaplains that oversee the whole county, because there's a lot of firehouses in our area that do not have chaplains, and that's what we're there for. We're there to be a resource to help them and outside resources of the firehouse. So that's how the Chaplains Network came to be in July of 2019.
Great. Appreciate that. CJ, how about you? And for those that are watching and listening, yes, CJ and I are related in some manner. I'm the better looking of the family, so we'll just get that disclaimer out there.
I don't know about that one there, Kev.
But yes, as Kevin said, my name is CJ Ferrara. I've been a firefighter now for 3 years. Had to get that one correct. Joined the fire department in 2018. My father, Chris Ferrara, was in the military for 32 years. I didn't feel a calling to the military. So I thought, there's better things I can do in my community that I would love to help out with. Always heard the siren going through town every so often and thought, wonder what that could be. And a couple minutes later, you hear the fire truck going down the road. And so May or April of 2018, I emailed the Jonestown fire chief and asked for an application. And ever since then, I've been in the fire service. I became a chaplain in 2019, correct, Kindall? Mm-hmm. And I actually talked to Kindall, went through a class with him and our one chaplain friend, Mark Goodman from Florida. We ran a course, 2-day course in 2019. And as Kindall stated, there's about 12 or 13 of us, and the numbers just keep growing. Just recently, last year, I joined Londonderry Fire Company out in Dauphin County, PA, and started helping out as one of their chaplains, as their second chaplain for the station. And I'm a firefighter. I've been with them for about 7 or 8 months now. And I just got one of our other chaplains from our station, Dean Hooper, on board with the Berks County Chaplains Network.
Awesome. I appreciate that, and it's great to hear that the organization is expanding. It's not just just a few. We're getting more and more chaplains involved in that. So with that, how far out does your network branch? It's the title is Berks County, but say one of my audience members over in Germany, can they go to your website? Can they go to your Facebook page and reach out if they need somebody to talk? Because around the country, around the world, let's be honest. I mean, there's not a lot of these networks out there that should be, and so having this resource for somebody, especially here in the States, and like I said, in Germany. Can they reach out and for support and obviously talk to you, and then do you have the resources to maybe put them in contact with somebody in their local area?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. We have the Berks County Fire Chaplains Network on Facebook. You can either follow myself or Kindle on there, and you'll see I think links to the chaplains page. You also see links to the Lebanon County Fire Chaplains Network. And yeah, they can definitely feel free to reach out to myself or Kindle or one of the other 12 or 13 of us that are on the page and say, look, I'd heard about you guys. I'd like to talk. Can you reach out to somebody? Is there any way we can get in contact? Or is there anyone local that we can find to talk? And I know Kindle has a bunch of resources and others have a bunch of the resources that can be able to reach out within minutes to talk to somebody.
We also have made basically the commitment that we would never turn away someone from EMS, police, even military, if they reach out to us and they tell us that, hey, I need help with this and that. Our main focus is always firefighters, but we will never turn someone away, another first responder. We will put them in contact, like CJ said, with the respected resources so that they can get the help that they need.
Awesome. And, I definitely appreciate that, because being in the military, and I'll be honest with this, there's a lot of stresses, not just with being somebody in the military, but then you add on, as a firefighter, an emergency responder. And fortunately, we've seen a lot of folks, they're hesitant to reach out, to talk, because they're somewhat afraid is that, if I talk to somebody, I'm going to get punished because they're going to take me off the floor. I can't be a firefighter. I can't be in the military anymore. Have you, either of you seen that with, local firehouses, or, obviously, don't reveal who you talk to, it's all anonymous, but have you seen similar things like that with, somebody may have mentioned, hey, I'm afraid to, I was afraid to come and talk to you because, for whatever reason?
I think back in the day, it was just every day, to just when they come back from a call and someone dies in a house fire or whatever, or they see a suicide or a murder or something, that whether it was police or fire, they would just basically gather together and they would drink a few and they would, drink the pain away or whatever. And they get up the next day and just go about it. And then, that's the old school way, those days of dealing with that stuff are done. Just today, I think we see a lot more intense results from calls, emotions. And when firefighters or any first responder holds it in, it just builds up inside them to the point where it impacts their marriage, their personal lives. And one of the things that you really hit home on is that they're afraid to talk to other people. And I think they're afraid sometimes because they'll be mocked, or they'll say, well, you're a man, pull your big boy pants up, pull your big boy boxers up, and go about and just deal with it like we did years ago. That's the old school guys talking to the younger guys. I personally have never been involved with that, like in our chaplains network. I've heard of it in the past, but never like current. I think there's a lot more respect that goes from other guys now. They see that the need is there to talk to individuals. So, the days of hazing and stuff like that, the joking is still there, but not to the point where they joke with you or mock you because you're dealing with, with something that could, basically cost you to take your life.
I know I definitely find it harder as a younger chaplain, because usually I don't know if Kindall notices it, but most of the chaplains that people go to talk to are your guys' era and your guys' age, and they look at a young guy like me and go, why would I want to go talk to him? He's my age. Mm-hmm. He doesn't really know too much, and that's the only trouble that I'm seeing as a chaplain, as I'm the young guy who would want to come talk to me. And sometimes some people see it as a sign of weakness to go even talk to the chaplain, because they're, I don't want to be that guy, and I don't want to feel weak going to talk to him. It's coming from me. It's never a sign of weakness. It's a sign of, hey, this has been bothering me. You got a minute to talk. I know I talk to Kindall a bunch, and I have a couple friends that talk to Kindall, and it's definitely not a sign of weakness. It's actually a sign of manhood, and
absolutely,
it's a sign of toughness of, hey, I need to talk.
Mm-hmm. And that's something I've said on previous podcasts, is that the task of being a firefighter, I mean, it's not a one person career field. We can't rescue victims from a car accident by ourselves. We can't extinguish a fire by ourselves. I mean, it's a team effort. And you're absolutely right, CJ. I mean, it takes a lot of courage. It takes strength to be able to, put those fears aside and say, hey, I need help. I need to talk. And Kindall, you hit it on as well, is that, when folks, the manhood, get your man card, it's in the military, we've seen and heard that time and time again. It's like, suck it up. You're a soldier now, and you're a firefighter, and you got, you just got to, step up to the plate and deal with it. Unfortunately, that keeps going on and on and on. And then we see the veteran suicide. Now we're seeing firefighter suicides. So yeah, I think, just being able to create an atmosphere where, it's anonymous, somebody comes in, they phone call, or even if it's a face-to-face, it's like, look, yeah, we have an open door policy, but what stays in this office, what's talked about in this office stays in this office, unless, there's obviously signs, hey, they're going to hurt themselves or others. It's just that comfort, that being able to approach somebody, and know they're going to be sincere. They're not going to be mocked, because and what you said, CJ, the old guys. I mean, when I returned in the military, I was one of the older guys. I served in the Air Force twice. So the second time I came in, there was young kids that outranked me. And I'm like, okay, Junior doesn't know what he's talking about, but a lot of these kids do. I mean, there's a lot of smart individuals out there like yourself that, people can come to and talk. And really, that shouldn't matter. It should be, hey, we're all firefighters. We're all human beings. We're all here to listen and talk.
I think also that really helps knowing that we're also firefighters, so that when one of these guys or gals comes talk to us, we understand, we know what they're going through. We know their emotions, their feelings, because I've been there where someone didn't make it out of a fire or cardiac arrest or a car accident. And it's not going to get any easier. And that is one of the main reasons why our network started, was because of the suicide percentage is up. It's like 170% since 2019 to this year. And that's just crazy, Kevin, to think that there are firefighters out there that think that they have nowhere else to go to turn to, and they take their life because they are either afraid to talk to their chief or talk to another peer, one of their own peers. And again, that could come from various reasons, obviously. But and we see it also in the military, like you said. It's also in police, and it's also in EMS. So that's why our resources is there, that we will never turn someone away. Again, the focus is firefighters, but if a police officer would come to CJ or myself or another one of the chaplains tomorrow and say, hey, I need help to talk to somebody, I'm not going to turn them away. They're not going to turn away. We're going to put them in contact with someone. We're going to be right there with them every step of the way until we hand them off to someone to help them. And that's something that I think a lot of people don't understand, that they either don't do the research or they're afraid to reach out to someone in fear, again, of those consequences.
And actually with the suicide, when you reached out to me, Kevin, when you read my post about the Chaplains Network, the year old, now that we were a year old at that point, that was actually the night that I think about half, if not 3/4 of our chaplains participated in a suicide QPR class with Wellspan Good Sam, to actually learn how to deal with those who are wanting to, I don't remember how they put it, but I'm going to put it in the words of commit suicide and end their life, because they feel, as Kindall said, they have nowhere else to turn. And they don't realize that their decisions are not only affecting them, but also affecting their family and friends and their loved ones. So we took that class. We decided as a network to, let's get more involved. Let's learn how to deal with this.
And, you talk about numbers and stats, and, last episode I had said the IAFF, if you go onto their website about suicide, prevention and awareness, they surveyed 1,027 firefighters. And just running down through my notes here with the stats, they said, 8% of those had suicidal thoughts or ideas. That was about 82 individuals. 2% made plans to commit suicide, roughly about 21. 5% made a suicidal attempt, 51 of those surveyed. And then 4% harmed themselves but didn't commit suicide, and 41. So, I jumped online real quick, and I wanted to see what the stats would be if we took into consideration all firefighters here in the United States. And there's approximately about 1.1 million firefighters, volunteer and paid firefighters here in the United States. So if we convert those same percentages over to the actual firefighters here in the United States, I mean, those numbers significantly increase and are shocking. So, of the 1.1 million firefighters here in the United States, roughly about 89,000 we can estimate have thoughts of suicide. 22,000 made plans. 55,000 made an attempt, and roughly about 44,000 harmed themselves. So, looking at, the comparison of that, those that were surveyed, by the IAFF, about 195 total, had thoughts or thoughts of suicide or harm themselves. And then when we expand that to all of the firefighters here in the States, you're looking at about 211,000 firefighters. Now, what's scary and what I think our audience needs to know is that what if, we can do the armchair quarterback and we can say what if, but worst case scenario, what if these firefighters didn't have support networks like yours and went through and actually committed suicide? I mean, look at the impact that would have. We talked about not just in their work area, but like you said, CJ, family, friends, the community. I mean, I think that's something that a lot of firefighters don't realize, is that even with volunteer firefighters, they're not seen just as a volunteer firefighter. They're a member of the community, and I think a lot of them don't feel that, and they sort of react a certain way. Military, we've seen that as well, is that they don't feel supported either in their unit, their squadron, or even by the citizens that they volunteered to protect. So what are your thoughts on those numbers, those stats?
I find those numbers just to be staggering and just beyond belief. That there's I don't remember the exact numbers you said, cousin, but there was 1.9 million some firefighters in the U.S. and 89,000 or so of them have either attempted or made plans to commit suicide. That's just unbelievable, and that's one of the reasons why our network exists. And I know Kindall will back me up on this and support me fully, but we want to be that turning point for those firefighters, EMS workers, and any other type of first responder, military, police, whatever. We want to be there for you guys. We want to be there for our brothers and sisters.
Yeah, because it doesn't just, relate just to our organization. It's for everyone out there. When that initial article was posted from Rainy Eagle, Kevin, it was shared on Facebook, and a magazine, Fire Media, got a hold of the story from Sacramento, California, and they wanted to know why our organization exists. And then someone reached out to us and said, hey, we'd like to have a blueprint of sorts to see what it's like, because the need is there. And it's scary to think that there's organizations out there and firefighters don't know about them. And it's the same with police, EMS, or the military. There's organizations and resources out there that people don't know about. And they think that they're out there on that branch by themselves, and they have no one to talk to, no one to turn. I think if I can back up for a second with what CJ said earlier about the youth, he's having a hard time reaching out to the older people, talking to someone younger than him. With our network, we have all sorts of age. I think the oldest person in our group is 73, and the youngest person is CJ. And then, of course, everyone is in between. I'm 46, and I think we relate to the age group that we're associated with. But also being a seminary student, I can relate to all age groups and stuff. And one thing I want to share with everybody is that age has no meaning or no barrier to it. If you have a problem with someone or a problem with something, don't have a problem with talking to someone. Reach out to them, because that's going to make the difference right there. The stats are staggering, and the stats are very, very eye-opening to know that there's millions of firefighters through the years that have either taken their life or attempted to take their life or thought about it, and there was no one to talk to. There was no one there for them. And we see that far too many in the military side, and it's happening in the firefighter side as well. And it's scary.
So, one thing to note is that these stats are what, those that were surveyed opened up and admitted to, of the 1,027, how many firefighters, had thoughts, had made plans, but they kept that information to themselves. They didn't reveal that in the survey. And, most surveys, we can admit people are going to be, upfront and honest with them. We've seen that, especially when, you do this online stuff, research has found, they're, when it asks you for your birth date, most people are going to put their actual birth date in. They're not going to lie on it. But again, when you expand, 1.1 million firefighters in the United States, and like you said, CJ, 89,000 roughly. And again, this is just fuzzy math. 89,200 is what it comes out to. Had thoughts of suicide. How many more are out there? How many more firefighters, emergency responders are out there that haven't, reported, haven't admitted to this? And I think that's where, you two and others in the network and networks across the world that exist. I think that's why it's so important that your work is highlighted, not just here on the podcast, but everywhere. Is that, look, there are avenues, there are resources out there for you to talk. There's the national hotline, there's your guys' phone numbers and contact information. And I think that it goes back a little bit to what we just said. Don't be embarrassed. Don't be afraid to pick up a phone and call. And I've done it myself with, I've had firefighters call up With this whole firefighting foam and PFAS issue, military veterans and everything, and they're worried. They're sick. They feel like they're neglected by the Veterans Affairs administration, and it's just like they're at their wits' end. So I've had a few people call up and say, hey, I was on the edge, but I reached out to some folks to talk, and I tell people, I said, look, if you're just having a bad day, call me up. I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a trained professional, but I know enough. I've seen it, been through it, to where I know where to direct these individuals to. And that's important, is that don't just listen and then forget about them, because I've seen that as well, and that's definitely the wrong thing to do. Is I'll listen, but you're really not listening, and then they leave, and then they feel they're right back and they're forgotten.
I think one thing you really hit hard on, and really eye-opening there also as well, is that people feel like they're left out there to dry. You're done talking to them, they go about, and then there's no follow-up done. One of the things that I really am proud of what I do is, like, right now I'm talking to a firefighter. He witnessed the death of a citizen that died in a fire over here in Lebanon County just this week. So I'm currently speaking with that firefighter. And one thing that I do is each day, either him or I will reach out to one another at a specific time. Hey, how you doing today? How you feeling today? And that's what I do with everyone I talk to. It's like a follow-up to make sure that they're going to continue to be okay, because small things could trigger that memory. Okay, I see this person. It reminds me of a loved one, or reminds me of a post that I saw. I'm reading something and it triggers something in my memory that, oh, this is going to take me back to that fire. So it just doesn't end at a conversation that you have with someone at the firehouse or at the bar or at church. It goes beyond that. You have to stick with those people. And I think that's what's really cool about what CJ, myself, other counties do, like Lebanon County Fire Chaplains Network. There's one in Chester County. There's one started in Lehigh County. These chaplains do follow-ups. And it's not just chaplains, Kevin. We also have pastors on board. One of our chaplains on there is also the police chaplain, June Bear. She's also a pastor of our church here. So we utilize pastors as well for the high-end incidents where we can only do so much, because we are only trained to do so much. And if we're not comfortable doing something outside of our realm, so to speak, we get a pastor involved, because they have much more highly trained background understanding of what these kids and these adults are going through. So that's what's really cool, also having the religious and non-religious both sides there as well to help people.
I know just this week, as Kindall said, and not with the Lebanon County house fire, even though I did hear about that one. We just had a fatal in Middletown. I was talking to Kindall about it just earlier this week. We had two of our guys went out to go get dinner for the firehouse, for myself and the two that were in our utility truck. They went out to go get dinner, and they heard the tones drop for a pedestrian struck in Middletown. And they didn't think anything of it until they heard he's in full cardiac arrest. And we had one of the passengers in the utility was an EMT, looked at the driver and said, go. It's time to go. Let's go. It's not our call, but we're going. They went out and helped out, and they came back about 2 hours later, and they came in, and I could just see in their faces they were upset, distraught, but then they start talking about it like it's nothing, just the shooting the crap around the firehouse of, oh man, you missed this call, and they start talking about it, and I can just see in their face that something's not right, and they start telling me, yeah, that he passed away like 10 minutes later. I looked at him after they told me how messed up and everything he was. I sat him down. I'm like, are you guys okay? Oh, yeah, we're fine. I'm like, are you okay? Yeah, we told you we're fine. I said, no, shut up and listen. Are you okay? I'm not talking physically. I'm talking mentally okay. And that's when they came out and told me, no, this one's going to affect me for a while. And so every day so far, I've just been, hey, I know you're going to hate me for this. How's your mental status? How's it going? You need to talk. And every so often, I can just see, like, they get upset or something. Hey, need to talk? You know where I'll be. I live here. You know where I'll be. Come find me. That's one thing I love about being a chaplain. It's you know where I'm going to be. Come talk to me. Or I just love being that person to talk to. Ever since I've been a young kid, my parents have always called me a people person. And I was actually at a work interview yesterday, and the guy that I was getting interviewed by, he actually looked at me and goes, you're a really easy guy to talk to. And I've heard that from numerous people. I just love being that person that people can come talk to. And dealing with firefighter suicide awareness and the suicide realm, I actually got permission from a friend of mine that used to run at this firehouse to talk a little bit about his incident. It happened a couple years ago. He actually did try to take his life after being on a call. He had witnessed a person killed in an accident, and he was driving along and pulled off to the side of the road, and he loaded his pistol and stuck it in his mouth and pulled the trigger, and it went click. He had live ammo in there, full clip. He tried it twice and it didn't work, and he said he just broke down and cried. He goes, it must not have been my time. He goes, and then he sat down with me just a couple months ago and said, I don't know what's going on in my life. Can you talk? You got a moment to talk? I said, dude, you have no idea how much I'd love to talk. And he didn't want it to go above me at that point. And so we just sat down and talked. I actually sat down and read scripture to him because he goes, you're a religious guy, right? I said, well, yeah, kind of. So I actually had my Bible in my rack and just sat down at the kitchen table at the station here and just sat and read him one of his favorite scripture passages, and then we sat and talked some more, and we dealt with it. And having that class of the suicide QPR that we dealt with, that Kendall and I both talked about earlier, that actually, I'm so glad I took that class, because it showed me and taught me the right kind of questions to ask of what's going on with him and why he felt like he had to try to take his own life, and what made him feel like that was the only route to go.
So let me ask you this. It's your group is called the Berks County Fire Chaplains Network, and it's great to hear that. I guess I got two questions here. It's great to hear that other counties here in Pennsylvania are creating these networks. So my first question is, how much involvement do you have with the state, the state fire commissioner, in terms of creating and maybe endorsing these networks? And then the follow-up, with the title of the network having the word chaplains in there, I think a lot of folks, they see that, and especially in the military, we saw that, was that, oh, I'm not religious, I don't want to go talk to the chaplain, because then they're going to go ahead and push all this religion and spirituality on me, and I just don't want to hear all of that. It sounds to me with you guys is that, yeah, you're chaplains, you have that in there, but that's sort of just a title, a word in there. At the end of the day, you're another person, another firefighter sitting across from the table, talking, listening. It doesn't sound like you're pushing any religion or anything like that on somebody. You offer it, if they, if that helps. But it doesn't sound like that's, you're pushing that off on them.
Let me answer that second question first, and then I'll let Kendall talk about the fire commissioner, because that's one thing he's big involved with. But on the religion side of it, one thing I learned going through the chaplains course is, yes, we may be chaplains. Yes, it may be the chaplain might be in a religious sort of view and role, but we will never be that person to sit there and oh, I'm a chaplain, I'm gonna shove religion down your throat. No, we studies have found that the chaplain that tries to do that will never be respected, and people won't go talk to him because that's all that person's known for is, oh, he just wants to shove religion down your throat. No, the chaplain will never do that unless you ask. We're there to be that, like you said, Kevin, that other person on the other side of the table that, hey, let's sit and talk. I need someone to talk to. That's how we want to be. I know I'd love to talk religion because I grew up in a very religious household. But that's not how that's not how I'm ever gonna be as a chaplain, even though I'd love to, because I've found it kind of to be a turnoff to people, and they don't want to talk to you at that point.
That's because chaplains deal with universal is how I label us as. We are religious and non-religious. We can let our faith-based background guide us, but we can also utilize it to let people share what they're going through, because you're going to deal with Catholics, Lutherans, you're going to deal with people that may be atheist, that might be Muslim, that might be Jewish, and we let them share because we're there for them. So we should let them talk. And good to answer, CJ, because if you shove religion down someone's throat, they're going to say, well, to heck with you, you're not interested, I'm gone. Some people don't want to hear about religion when their loved one dies, or when they or when they're going through the circumstance. Well, why is God allowing me to do this? So good answer, CJ. And Kevin, to answer your first question, since the very beginning, I've had the vision, and so has other chaplains had the vision, that we want to be recognized by the state, not because of, oh, we're going to be recognized by the state of Pennsylvania or the county of Berks, but we want to be that resource out there to have everyone utilize us if need be, and then we will, again, help them get that resource that they need. We haven't been officially through Harrisburg. I know Harrisburg interviewed me. WITF interviewed me last year when this whole thing happened with the articles and stuff. Other people took an interest in it. But Harrisburg has not. Berks County has. Christian Leinbach, he's one of the county commissioners, has been on board with our county, with our chaplains network for the county for about a year now. And unfortunately, just when we were going to get involved with dealing with autistic individuals that live with autism, to help learn that for first responders, and the county commission with Berks County was getting involved with us, the COVID hit. So everything kind of got pushed to the back burner for that. But my hope is that we will be recognized as a resource for the county and for the state. If the state sees that there is a need for that because of the amount of networks like Chester County, Lehigh, Lancaster, Lebanon, and ours here in Berks, they'll see, hey, there's a growing need. There is a need for chaplains. There's a need for organizations for these first responders to talk to. You mentioned all these stats, but if we break it down, how many are just in Pennsylvania alone? And there, again, that's eye-opening to realize and learn that Pennsylvania could be a state that has an issue, or Texas, California, wherever these individuals are from. But that is my hope. I'm very involved with Christian Leinbach trying to get us, recognized by a resource, but there's steps we have to go through to be recognized, which, we have to do. But that is my hope, that we will get this network recognized by the county so that we are on that resource page.
Outstanding. And I always offer my support, as a firefighter, as someone, with a podcast, a platform to get that message out there. So we definitely back, what you guys are doing. Pennsylvania is our home state here. The studio's here in Pennsylvania. So anything that we can do, feel free to reach out to us. We'll in turn reach out to, the state legislators, the U.S. congressional legislators. I think what you're doing, what the other counties are doing, it sounds like it's creating a model that, can expand. This isn't, suicide's not an isolated event. It's a global issue. And I think, when you create these networks, doing the outstanding things that you and others are doing, I think there has to be, at the minimum, a state a state network to where all of these counties can go to and talk and, conferences, all of that stuff, and then expand, across the country, across the globe. So it's interesting, you mentioned about COVID, because, that's one of my notes here is, we know COVID-19 has really taken a toll on emergency responders, not just here in America, here in Pennsylvania, but, globally. So, what have you seen? How does that impact your network with COVID? Because, obviously there's some restrictions. You can't do some face-to-face. It's, I'm sure some of it's, Zoom, Zoom or over the phone. How has that impacted your organization with these restrictions?
We, when we first started, we met twice in person at a restaurant to discuss the meeting and everything and our notes and the resources. And then when COVID hit, we were in the process of actually teaming up with the Greater Mental Health Reading Alliance to teach first responders about autism, dealing with individuals living with autism. And then, of course, that came to a screeching halt because you can't have gatherings. We still meet on Zoom through the meetings the Chaplains Network does. We have a private page for just chaplains that we do interact with. We share, we do videos, we do posts and stuff like that. It has kind of taken, it's still there. We can't get together, but we are still utilized the way we have been since we started. But doing the training, the courses, as CJ said, Mark Goodman, he's an instructor and a pastor and also a chaplain from Florida. He was going to come up here last year and redo the course for people that have never been in it, and that got canceled. So trying to get new chaplains involved is also hard with COVID. It's not just with the county, but as the state itself. We have seen first responders post either on Facebook or share with other chaplains or myself or CJ that, this is what they're dealing with. They're afraid that they're going to take it home to their parents. They're going to take it home to their wife, their husband, their partner, their kids. Because when you're in a volunteer house, you're dealing with everybody. They go to work that's not being paid. We're volunteers. So we go in different directions, whether construction or retail, and we don't know where they've been. They don't know if they're bringing the virus to the firehouse. So that fear is always there. Every time the pager or the house siren goes off is one of the guys is going to bring the virus to the house, and then we're all infected. So yeah, that's always in the back of the head that we hear from other guys and gals about. So, that's the sad part with COVID. The positive side is we continue to still meet, just like you said, Kevin, through via Zoom. So.
Excellent. Yeah, because it's, I kid anybody that's got stock in Zoom and all these other platforms. It's thankfully those resources were out there prior to COVID. Folks they're really taking advantage of those, and it's great to hear that. Yeah, you've got a little bump in the road, with COVID in terms of face to face and reaching out, but you've overcome that obstacle, and you've sought out other resources, and the support doesn't stop. It's constantly there, and thankfully individuals they can utilize that to help. So what do you want the listeners to know? What do you want the audience to know that we haven't talked about? What's weighing on your mind? It's like, look, I'm on this podcast. I've got an opportunity to get some things off my chest, about, firefighter suicide awareness, or even, cancer awareness, or, anything, firefighter health and safety. What do you want to, relay out there to the audience members?
Go ahead, CJ. I'll let you go first.
The only thing I can really think of is, let me just echo what Kindall and I have both said before, if you're listening to this, feel free, please, we welcome it. Please reach out to talk to one of us or one of the other chaplains on our network. If I can just advertise again, our Chaplains Network page on Facebook is the Berks County Fire Chaplains Network. Please feel free to reach out and talk to us. I'm on my phone a lot during the day, So you reach out. I'll see the notification pop up. I'll try to answer as best I can. If I can't answer, I'll get in touch with Kindall or Mark Goodman, our other chaplain instructor, and one of our chaplains for our network, and I'll reach out to one of them and try to get in touch with one of them and try to help you the best way that we can. But please do not be afraid to talk to one of us. Suicide awareness and cancer awareness, as Kevin stated, we want to be there for you guys to talk to. Reaching out to one of us is never a weakness. It's healthy for you. We want to be there for you. Please reach out to us.
Before I respond to that, I'm going to echo to Chris or to CJ and say that I'd rather see you in person than see you at your funeral. You know, and then learn later on that you had the opportunity to talk to us and then you didn't. But to just share how I feel, the main thing is that throughout this whole podcast, we talked about age groups and stuff, and that it don't matter what age group someone is, you know, the chaplains are all ages. It doesn't matter in age. They're trained to understand what you're going through. And as I've said, Kevin, that, you know, we're both firefighters. Most of the firefighters, most of the guys and gals that are chaplains are firefighters, or they're fire police or a pastor. So they do understand what you're going through. They do understand that you have thoughts of suicide. With the cancer awareness, wash your gear more. Don't be stupid. Wear your air pack. One of the things that our captain does down here is that he will put his foot up your back end. If you try to go into a fire or a CO, or my chief will do the same thing. They'll put their foot up your butt, because you decide you were going to be like a big boy and go in without an air pack and try to do something. You know, those are your lungs. It's your life. You know, you only have one life. And if you do something stupid, the results is you're going to get cancer possibly. So, you know, be cautious, be responsible too, because it's going to get worse out there. The buildings are not made the way they were years ago. Building construction burns a lot faster, causes off a lot of chemicals. And if you breathe that stuff in, it's going to kill you. But we're there for everybody, no matter who you are. And that's just that in a nutshell. To not be afraid to reach out, as CJ said, not be afraid to reach out and talk to someone. The days of being, I'll just say it this way, of being badass, or of being, you know, quiet and going to the bar and drinking your troubles away are done. You know, I'll go meet someone at the bar and I'll have a beer with them so that they can talk. But they can't hold it in anymore, because, you know, as we see the stats go up, they're not going down, and it's only going to get worse. So
it's eerie that, you know, a lot of the notes that I've got here, both of you guys touch base on a lot of them. I didn't even have to go and, you know, look at my notes on, you know, as we're talking here. You know, you went right down and found that. So I mean, that's pretty cool. So, you know, before we wrap up here, there's one thing I like to do with, you know, with some of my guests, and it's called "What Would You Rather?" or "Would You Rather?" And what this is one of our sponsors, Poddex. They actually have these little cards, and Poddex cards. So I've got 3 of them here. So this is where we get a little bit, you know, some fun time, and then it sort of reveals a little secrets about you. So. Oh boy. So the first question: would you rather have deep dish or thin crust pizza?
Deep dish.
Thin crust.
Oh, come on, Kindall.
Max Pizza in Wildwood, New Jersey is thin crust, so that's the good stuff.
Chicago deep dish is the best. I've been to Chicago. Their deep dish is phenomenal. It's an Italian thing. It's an Italian thing, I tell you.
Yep. Yeah, deep dish all the way. That thin crust pizza, that's cardboard. So, okay. The next one: would you rather have no eyebrows or an extra finger?
An extra finger.
I think I'll go with the extra finger.
Yeah. Yeah, we're rocking the thick eyebrows, so we gotta keep it.
Kindall needs all the hair he can get. I mean, so do you, cuz.
That's right.
All right, now this is the last one, and this is going to reveal your true self.
Oh boy.
All right, would you rather wear a onesie 24/7 for a year, or a horse head costume for a month straight?
A horse head costume for a month straight.
I'll go with the horse.
Wow, the secret's being revealed today.
I think Kevin would be the onesie.
I'd go all out. I'd wear the onesie and the horse head costume.
Of course you would.
Well, guys, that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this episode. All kidding aside, with the pod decks there, I truly appreciate what you guys are doing, and other organizations out there, because like Kindall said, we started off the year, January with Firefighter Cancer Awareness Month. February, we're looking at firefighter suicide awareness. Those two I've seen go hand in hand. I've been talking to a lot of firefighters that have cancer, other medical illnesses, and they get to that point, they're like, I can't do this anymore. I can't put my family through it. And it's great that there's individuals like yourselves out there that are willing to sacrifice your personal lives, really, for the better of humanity. Let's be real about this. Is that we're all humans. I wish there was more individuals like yourselves out there, that just willing to go ahead and sit down and talk. It doesn't cost a dime, and that's what I really foot stomp with the audience, is that just sitting down and having a conversation with somebody. We don't do that anymore, because society is so busy. We just sat down, I think, and talked. Especially in a firehouse, sit down around the kitchen table, the firehouse table, while you're out checking out the trucks in the stalls. Just get to know each other, have a conversation, be able to pick up on these signs that someone's having a bad day, and then say, hey, you want to talk? I'm always here. But again, I appreciate what you guys are doing. Like I said, myself, the Weekend Wrap Up podcast, we will do everything that we can to help, echo your mission. We support you in any manner that we can. Being here in Pennsylvania, we are involved with, state legislators, the State Fire Academy. We want to see this flourish. Be a model for other communities, other states, other countries to pick up on. So, last go around, any final thoughts that you want to say before we sign off here?
Just to say thank you for having us. Thank you for having me. And then again, don't be afraid to reach out. It's definitely a serious thing. And Kevin, I'll just say this real quick. That was the main thing you had said, that firefighters deal with cancer. And I didn't think of it that way. Is that, look how many firefighters from 9/11, from the World Trade Center collapse, took their own lives because they couldn't deal with the cancer and putting their families through that again. So the reality is real. It's not going to go away, guys. It's not just 9/11. It's other firefighters out there that deal with illnesses. And it's not just a sickness. It's also a mental sickness as well. So suicide's not a joke, guys. So again, thank you, Kevin. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. Let me just finally say again, if you're listening to this or see this later, reach out to us at the Berks County Fire Chaplains Network. We will never turn you away. We are here for you guys.
So with that, we didn't discuss this. How do individuals reach out to your network?
Right now, if I'm correct, we just have our Facebook page, and we're all on there. They can reach out to that. I'm sure Kindall probably has other ways for other people to reach out, so I'll let him answer the rest.
Well, the Facebook page is the main thing. It is public. So even if you're a non-member of Facebook and you don't have an account with Facebook, if you type in Berks County Fire Chaplains Network, our group will come up as a public entity. And you click on the page, there's a message little link on there, and you click on that, you can private message anyone. And again, it's open to the public, so it's anyone can see it. And it'll put a contact out to each fire chaplain that is an admin on that group. Our hope is that through Christian Leinbach, here in the next couple months, once everything continues to bog down with the COVID virus, that we can get back on track with what we want to do and that is be recognized by the Berks County, and it'll go on a resource. And once it's on the resource page, that'll be open to anyone that wants to call us, email us, whatever the circumstance. So, but that's as far as we are right now, as far as contact goes. There's no email address because we're all from each individual respected fire departments that we represent as one organization here with the network.
Okay. Well, we will be posting a link to your Facebook page, on our different channels, Facebook, on the podcast channel. We're on YouTube. We're on Rumble. So we will socialize your page as much as we can. And yeah, folks, like these two awesome individuals said, send them a message and say, hey, I need to talk. If you can't get a hold of them for whatever reason, reach out to us here at the Weekend Wrap Up. We're able to go ahead and connect you with who you need to talk to, and that's the big thing. Don't be afraid to talk. So folks, that's going to do it for this episode here in the Weekend Wrap Up. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and stay tuned as we sign off here from a short message from our sponsor, Fire Department Coffee. So with that, folks, we're out of here.
Firefighters work long shifts. That's the nature of the job. If your station is like most, coffee is what keeps you going. That's why you should check out Fire Department Coffee. Veteran owned and run by firefighters, Fire Department Coffee offers a wide variety of delicious coffee, including their signature line of spirit-infused coffee, all roasted by hand and delivered right to your door. Even better, 10% of net proceeds from every sale goes to benefit wounded, ill, or injured firefighters and other first responders. And they've got a special deal for the Weekend Wrap-Up listeners. Enter discount code AFSO21, that's AFSO21 at checkout to get 10% off your next order at Fire Department Coffee. FireDepartmentCoffee.com, that's FireDept Coffee.com.